Redefine.
Let yourself be redefined. Let yourself be redefined.
You got the power.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight for another episode of Brotox Chill. We'll call this one our international edition. Very excited to have our guest on tonight. Joining us this evening is Rick O'Neill, international digital marketing and advertising guru, preaches the gospel to the aesthetic space all over the world. Rick, thanks so much for carving out some time to join us tonight.
Absolute pleasure. And 2 G words there, gospel and guru in the intro. That's a lot to live up to.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, when we're talking about marketing and advertising, especially in the aesthetic space, you know, you have to sip the juice. So you do get a lot of gospel, and, you know, it's best if you're getting it from a guru. So, you know, again, I'm excited to have someone of your caliber joining us tonight. So let's do this, Rick. If you're cool with it, let's dig right into it. You know, I mentioned in the intro that you're joining us internationally. You are our first international guest. Very excited to say that. Can you tell us a little bit about where we're seeing you tune in from tonight?
So I'm in Dubai right now in the UAE. So your morning is my nearly bedtime at my age. So getting on for 9 p.m. And it's currently about 38 degrees at 9 p.m.
Really?
So I don't know what that is in old money, but it's hot.
Okay, 38 degrees. Okay, that must be Celsius. So it's hot. It's hot over there. Right on. Good stuff. So now let's start things out by getting into your background a little bit. I'm very curious as to what your story is and how you ultimately ended up in a beautiful destination like Dubai tonight. So let's dig into it, Rick. What's your story? Where are you from? How'd you get started?
It's always tricky to know how far back to go, isn't it, when you give your story? But I will say, as we're talking digital, I'll start at the beginning of my digital journey. I built my first website in 1994, which was the 1 year after Sir Tim Berners-Lee released the World Wide Web onto the internet. So I've been here since the beginning. So I've seen the evolution, and it wasn't my intention way back then to enter into the aesthetics market. I wouldn't have known what that was at that time. In fact, I was doing my degree in product design. So at that time, I was designing gadgets and cars and furniture and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't really, I was just messing around with the websites and to see what it was all about. If you fast forward then to 2008, that's when I created my current agency, which is called LTF. It stands for Look, Touch and Feel. How we came up with that name is a whole other story. Someone will have to ask me at the bar afterwards. And it just so happens that one of our first clients was a plastic surgeon.
Okay.
In the UK, in the Midlands, a consultant plastic surgeon called Vic Vige. And ever since I worked with him, I discovered every other plastic surgeon was trained by him in the UK. So that was a good networking opportunity. We met lots of other surgeons. We then eventually got introduced to Allergan at the time. I did some consulting for Allergan. I was behind some of their big campaigns for Juvederm, Cool Sculpting, etc. Rewrote their social media plans, helped roll that out into multiple countries across Europe.
Wow.
And that exposure and training a lot of their customers grew our focus on aesthetics and grew LTF. And today, LTF is 40 people, all dedicated to medical aesthetics. And we have 2 types of customer. So the med spa or the clinic on one hand, and on the other hand, we work with pharma companies and med tech brands. And we work with people in the UK, the US, and the UAE. And our whole shtick is the 360 digital support function for those businesses. And with the med spas, that starts from education. So we met while I was in the process of educating people in Puerto Rico, and
Correct.
it goes all the way through coaching to kind of done for you support and everything in between. And we recently launched a self-serve platform for med spas that are kind of earlier in their journey and not ready for agencies. So we've built like an ecosystem that takes people all the way through the process of learning about marketing, implementing it, and then eventually outsourcing it to people like us so that they can grow their business, you know, go multi-location or sell or exit, whatever it is they want to do. And that's our whole life now. We don't work in any other niche, or niche, as you guys would say. It's a French word. You got to start saying niche, you guys. It just sounds cooler.
A little feeling into it.
Yeah, so this is our whole thing. We're immersed in the world of aesthetics, and even here where I am now in Dubai, I've been even this week at some huge clinic launches, and I was with Mertz in their Dubai office last week giving a talk.
Amazing.
So it's different countries, but the same market, same brands and products that you know and love. And at the heart of it all is understanding the patient research journey. Because if you understand that, truly understand that, you can be a successful marketer in this business.
Impressive. Very impressive. Couple of questions to build off of what you've just shared. Take us back. What was the moment when you realized, you know what, this is going to be my life's work? Like, I figured it out.
So I think, and with my agency, you know, as I told you, we started in 2008. But for a good while, I was just mucking around. This wasn't a serious business for me. It was like a hobby. I'd already had an agency before that, and I swore to never do it again. And then I accidentally created another agency. I think when it started taking off, and in particular when this niche looked like a serious opportunity, when it really started to interest me, and when it started becoming rewarding for me, was around 2018, I think 2019, because I was doing some work with Allergan, and they asked if I would put on a series of webinars about social media, and over 2,500 people logged into the first webinar. And I'd never done a Zoom or a webinar before, but that seemed like an awful lot of people to be logging in. And it was very, very successful. And that webinar alone generated hundreds of inquiries for LTF. And each one of those people was a practice owner from across Europe. And that's when I thought, there's definitely a business here, and we need to really hone in on this, really become masters of this market, understand the nuances of it, understand how patients behave. And the more we got into that, the rewarding part for me came. There's two parts to this becoming purposeful and rewarding for me. The first part was back then when I started meeting some of these practice owners and understanding how much stress I could take off their shoulders. That I really enjoy, because I've never had a proper job, by the way. I've been a soldier of fortune, a mercenary my entire life.
Right on.
And so I understand what it is to be a business owner and the kind of thoughts that keep you up at night when you're laying there staring at the ceiling at 4 o'clock in the morning and you've got to hit payroll. I get it. And so when I work with practice owners on the coaching, or if they're a client with the agency, I really understand what they're dealing with. And I've made our whole job to take all the heavy lifting away from them and just focus on the things that are going to give them a peaceful night's sleep. So that's rewarding for me. And never mind the kind of tactical elements of digital marketing. Ultimately, that's what I'm trying to do, is because I know that they're going to be happy. They're going to stay with us for the long term. We build a sustainable business. We've got happy clients. We're building a sustainable and ethical market around all of our clients. Then I can sleep well as well. And that's where It gets pretty rewarding, and you then get addicted to it.
Yes. It's mutually beneficial at that point, and it does become addictive. It really does. That's awesome, man. LTF Digital. What a great story. I can't wait to catch you at a bar to get the background and the story on where the name came from. So I'm going to hold you to that next time I see you.
100%, man.
Right on. So now, again, building off of what you've just shared, I'm curious to know, you've spoken in something around 15 different countries around the world. What surprised you the most about the aesthetic industry around the world? Like what's the common thread or the commonality that stood out to you that just makes you say, wow?
It's interesting because when you've been to that many different places and, you know, from extreme ends of the planet, from where I am now to the west coast of the US, etc., everyone's at a slightly different stage in the journey. And I wouldn't say that anyone is kind of at the front or the back. It's not like a linear thing, but everyone's at a different stage of understanding what medical aesthetics really is. And some people are exploring the wellness and longevity side in combination with aesthetics, and others are not quite there yet. So that's been the most interesting part. And then second to that is the very different behaviors of the patients in each market.
Interesting.
So, you know, like here, it's a very diverse mix of patients in the UAE that go to the clinics. And there are hundreds of clinics here and in KSA, Saudi. And in both cases, you have a mixture of Emirati, so locals in the UAE, and then you have a lot of different expat communities. Okay. And there's clinics for each group, and they stick to what they know. And there's different trends and cultures between those clinics and patient groups. So I have found that the most fascinating for me personally, going to these different places. But then across the top of all that, or underneath it, whichever way you want to look at it, there are these common themes and common challenges and common mistakes on the business side of aesthetics. So I don't get involved on the clinical side. I can't tell you whether one country's technique or injections are better than the other.
Right.
Who knows? But what I can tell you is, in terms of building the business, they're all facing the same problems. They're very often, unfortunately, making the same mistakes. And that's what I see is common across the globe. And that, again, is quite rewarding because I can land in the middle of nowhere, spend 10 minutes talking to a practice owner and go, haha, I've seen these 3 problems before and I know how to fix them. Right. So that's quite exciting because you've got like a little toolkit that you carry with you, and you know you're going to open your bag and you've got some tools that you can pull out to help people. That's pretty cool as well. And then in terms of speaking on stage, that's also really interesting because I have to adapt my style compared to where I am. So, for example, in the space of 2 weeks, I was firstly in Puerto Rico to a very much US audience. You were one of them. And 2 weeks later, I was speaking in the offices of Mertz in Dubai to a very different audience. Now, you'll remember from my talk, there might have been the odd curse word. There was a lot of loud, energetic things going on. I had like a live demo with ChatGPT. That wouldn't have really worked in the second presentation. None of that
Really?
stuff. So I had to adapt. I had to, tone it down a bit. It was a bit more of a formal lecture, but it was the same content. So that happens in lots of different markets. It's the same in like the Netherlands, even within a few miles. So if I do a talk in Belgium compared to the Netherlands, 2 totally different audiences. In the Netherlands, they're a lot of fun. In Belgians are very conservative and very quiet, and they don't really react when you speak to them as an audience.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do want to ask, do you have to research that when traveling into a new market? Do you take the time out to understand the culture and and know your audience so you can read the room before you enter it.
I do now because I think I'm finally learning to get quite good at this. But originally, I just found out the hard way. So I would turn up not really understanding, and I would go, "Hey, what's up?" like that, and everyone would just stare at me. And I'd be like, "Oh, different culture. Okay, I get it." So next time I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
But, so I feel like I know what a stand-up comic would feel like when they die on their ass on stage.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's almost the life of a traveling stand-up comedian.
Yeah. It's very similar because you've got to understand what's the energy level of that audience culturally, what's appropriate as well. Mm-hmm. Especially if you get further and further away from home, as it were. There's different cultures, different values, different ethics. You can't just, like, my standard British sense of humor doesn't apply everywhere, so I have to kind of adapt. So that's been really interesting as well.
Yeah, reading the room. It is it's a skill and an art for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this, okay? You brought up some really good points. I want to get into some of the commonalities, that you mentioned, some of the things that you do see common, mistakes, or even challenges that med spa owners and practitioners are facing across the globe. I'd love to learn more about the toolkit that you go to when you hear these things. So we'll do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll give everyone a chance to refill their glasses, and then we'll come right back, dig into some more questions, and continue down this path of education that Rick is leading us on. Be right back, guys. Hey, guys. I want to give a quick shout out to my friends over at Slash. If you own a med spa, then you already know how crazy things can be when every single month you've got money flowing through or flowing out for things like tox, filler, payroll, other inventory. Heck, you're even paying for events, trainings, and so on. It adds up quick. The question is your bank actually working for you? Now, my friends over at Slash, they're actually a legitimate banking platform that was built with med spa owners in mind. At Slash, you'll get 2% cash back, unlimited. You'll also get unlimited domestic wire transfers. And most importantly, you'll have access to a growing network of aesthetic providers and med spa owners. You'll even get invites and access to exclusive industry events, many of which you'll actually see me there. This is just one of those things that seems simple, but when you're spending thousands each and every single month, the right partner, banking partner specifically, can make all the difference in the world. Do yourself a favor. Check out my friends over at slash.com. Tell them I sent you. They'll hook you up. They'll take care of you. That's slash.com. All right, guys, we're back. Okay, so again, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. We've got Rick joining us all the way from Dubai. In the last segment, before we took a break, Rick was giving us some insight on his experience speaking around the world. He spoke in 15 different countries, educating everyone in the aesthetic space on some of the things that we all face, right? The challenges that we all face. How do we market and advertise and ultimately promote ourselves with the goal and intent of driving more business, getting the right kind of clients into our door? So you mentioned previously, Rick, that there were some common themes, some mistakes, for lack of a better term, or just things that you saw when speaking in different countries that were common, where you could say, you know what, I've seen that before, I've heard that before. So I'm curious to hear from you. What are some of the common themes that you've seen around the globe? Yeah.
So, I mean, I always start whenever I meet somebody, I always ask, like, how's business? That's my opening gambit. And then you start pulling on that thread and you can very quickly get to these sort of common issues. So I will always just ask a couple of questions about key performance indicators
and KPIs.
Sometimes you will meet somebody who is totally on it. They know their numbers, but the other 9 times out of 10, they're not. And so that's like the first one, and the main one is just not knowing the numbers of the business, which as you know, means they're flying blind. They are driving a car with no clear destination and no GPS switched on. There's no levers to pull because there's no KPIs. So that one I see all the time. And then I really want to dig into that to find out which sources are driving new patients, lifetime values, what's that looking like, repeat visits. I will really dig into KPIs first before I start asking about social media or search optimization or websites. I won't ask about channels. I'll start talking about KPIs because that tells much more of a story. And sometimes when you start with that KPI story and you really dig into it, then when they start telling you about things that have failed, and I'm using parentheses deliberately, failed with certain channels. So I might hear statements like, very bold statements like, well, as you know, meta ads don't work anymore. And I'll be like, all right,
really?
all right, but that's news to me.
Yeah.
Or as you know, SEO is dead. Oh, okay, right, good to know. But when you actually have understood the KPIs and then you look at what they're doing with those channels, it becomes crystal clear why they would have that belief. And so that's the first one, is not knowing the numbers and trying to build campaigns before you've established KPIs, tracking, a lead nurturing and conversion system, all those kind of things. The second one, I think, would probably be, they're kind of related, but it usually revolves around buying into trends and technology with no plan. So I've seen people make impulse purchases of $200,000 devices at conferences and trade shows and things with no real plan on how they're going to integrate that truly into the practice. No clear marketing plan for that, and therefore it's going to be painful for them to generate a return on that investment. I see that all the time. And I think the same mindset that drives that behavior is also happening when it comes to under-investing in the digital experience of their business and for their patients, but over-investing in terms of their clinical education. And a couple of weeks ago in London, I was on stage with Subio, and we were delivering a talk for Cyton at this UpX Exchange conference. And I was making this point, and he agreed with me and said to the audience, guys, I agree with Rick. I mean, how many ways are there that you can squirt jelly into someone's face? You've learned all the techniques. Now you've got to learn how to build your business. And that kicked off a whole panel discussion on this topic, and it was very interesting. And we got a lot of comments afterwards from people that they became self-aware that they've been doing that. They've been, if I just take that next cadaver training or that next clinical course, or if I just buy that machine, then all my problems are solved. And sadly, it's not that easy. You've got to nail the foundations of your business. You've got to have the key performance indicators. You have to understand how to build a diverse marketing ecosystem around the patient or the potential patient. And it's not as easy as one more course or one more machine. So that I see everywhere. Doesn't matter what country. I saw it here actually this week. That it's very trend led in the UAE, which can be a good thing, but it also means that sometimes trends in terms of technology can come and go pretty quickly. And the aftermath of that is something on finance that's now sitting in the back room gathering dust. So that's a problem. So I think when I talk to practice owners one-to-one, or sometimes in like a workshop environment, I will go into that in quite a big way, because it needs to be called out and it needs to be talked about, because there's a it's all things in balance, as with all things in life. So I see a massive underinvestment into the business of medical aesthetics, and part of that is the digital experience for the patient and the digital marketing ecosystem that does require investment.
It does require an investment, and that's a very huge and powerful point. I always talk about it. It baffles me how I travel to different conferences and workshops and shows, and sometimes it's like, wow, people don't get it, right? You're training one muscle or developing one skill set, learning how to do these wonderful techniques, these beautiful procedures, and there's people that want them, they're looking for them, and they will benefit. But now we don't really spend too much time learning, okay, how am I going to market, promote, and advertise what I just learned how to do? And it's got to be more than just taking a picture and posting it on Instagram with the speaker or the trainer. We have to do so much more than that. So to that point, let's talk about that, because a lot of times people are looking for, hey, what's the silver bullet? But it's really a process of, okay, cool, you work out the right bicep. Well, now let's work out the left bicep as well.
I like the analogy about training just one particular muscle. So I do taekwondo, for example. And so if you get that's why my book's called Black Belt Digital. That's where it all came from.
Okay.
So if you, for example, just become a really powerful kicker in taekwondo, your kick is amazing, really powerful, but you haven't worked at all on your leg strength or balance, then every time you kick, you're going to fall on your ass.
Right.
And it's kind of similar with, and it happened to me, by the way, when I first started.
That's how we learned.
Swing kick and end up on my ass, much to my kids' amusement, who were doing the classes with me. But that's what's happening in a lot of these businesses. It's you just have one big bicep and the other one's weak, and it causes issues because there's no strong foundation to what you're doing. So I see that all the time, and I try to incorporate solutions to that. So I'm not out here to complain at everybody, be negative. I understand most people started life in this industry working in the hospital system of some kind, in the healthcare system, where you don't have to worry about where your next patient's coming from, because if anything, you've got too many and they're queuing around the block. And you don't have to worry about the digital infrastructure. It's all done for you. And you don't have to worry about your cost bases and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. And they don't teach this at med school. They don't teach it in many of the aesthetic training academies because they're focused on the clinical, quite rightly. So I fully understand where people are starting from. And what I've tried to do in everything that I've ever done, whether it's the book or conversations like this or in the work we do with our clients, is break it down into simple terms. I don't hide anything. I give away everything we do. I explain in great detail how we do it. I give all of our frameworks away because, you can steal the recipe, but it might taste like crap.
There you go.
But more than that, we never wanted digital marketing to seem like a black box that you can't access, and like a mystery. And it used to feel like that, I think, when I've met other agencies that sell search optimization, for example. Really, they're selling a direct debit each month, but the client never knew what they were getting.
Right.
So what we do is try to be completely transparent, break it down into simple terms, and we offer two options. We'll teach you how to do it, or we'll do it for you. And I think that's what's needed in order to encourage people to, first of all, get over the kind of overwhelm about digital marketing. Like, oh, it's too much, I don't understand it. Break it down into simple terms, and then encourage taking regular action. And the regular action is really important, because you need to get into these like weekly, monthly and quarterly habits, or this stuff's never going to happen. which, going back to your original point, means there is no silver bullet. It's just bloody hard work.
Exactly.
And you've got to get started. Got to get started.
You have to get started. You can't avoid the work, and you can delegate some of it, but at some point you still have to get your hands dirty and participate in the mud. So now let's shift speeds a little bit. So obviously the show is Brotox and Chill. A huge focus for me and for my audience is learning about getting more men comfortable with the aesthetic space, having these sorts of conversations, booking a consult, booking their first procedure, so on and so forth. So couple of questions wrapped in this. First and foremost, I'm curious in your journey, what your experience has been, if you've been on the other side of the needle, sat in a chair as well. And then I'm also curious as far as any tidbits and again, just commonalities that you've seen and just some insight that you can share when we're talking about generating more male clients through digital marketing and advertising. But for you, like, what's the journey been like? How have you started out?
I mean, this is going to be quite a short conversation, and I said I was going to shock you. I've never had anything done ever.
Really? You look great.
Well, you're kind of obliged to say that, but I have never had anything. I'm 50 next year. I'm probably going to need something pretty urgently, and if anything, it's probably too late. I might be a surgical case now at this stage, but I've never had anything. I almost started having toxin for migraines, but I decided against it. It was a bit too much for me. It's quite intense. But no, I haven't actually had any aesthetic treatment. You can see that's why I need some help up top. But what I do have is a wife, and my wife is my mystery shopper that I send into client clinics and med spas that I'm consulting for. She gets the pick of the very best, so she understands who really can walk the talk and who provides the best experience and who's got the greatest looking practice or office. So I rely on her a lot to feed back to me from the patient experience. So that's been really helpful.
Right on.
And she looks amazing. So, I mean, that's obviously awesome. I would say that, but check out my Instagram and let me know. My wife's all over it. But awesome. That's been like the experience from the patient side. When it comes to blokes and men and marketing to men, this one's really interesting for me because we have got a few clients where this is a key focus. And what we're learning won't surprise you at all. It didn't surprise me in the slightest, in that men are lazy. Yes. Men are want it done in and out in any aspect of this process. Like let's just get it done quick.
Yep.
And then when it comes to in the practice, it seems obvious, but I was at a video shoot a few months ago, and I arrived at this clinic, and it was beautiful, and they had these big swinging pink chairs in the window, and there was flowers everywhere, and there was this gold throne. Oh. And then the woman started telling me that they have lots of men coming in, and I was quite surprised by that because they make the men sit in a gold throne in the window of the practice for the red light therapy.
Interesting.
I would not have been comfortable to sit in the window of that store. I'm just being honest. And so some people they're getting men in, but they don't come back because it's quite an uncomfortable experience for them. And I'm the same when it comes to clothes shopping, stuff like that. I don't want to hang around. I'm just in and out. Like,
right.
Some men are different, but that's me. So what we're learning is they behave differently when they're doing their research, men, when it comes to aesthetics.
Okay.
They, in the typical practice, it's like 90% female in the customer base and in the marketing audience. And they really take their time. They want to know everything. They want to, consume hours of content before they trust the practitioner. the blokes, from what we've seen in our research, increasingly now it's a conversation between them and ChatGPT. They don't really take the time to jump around Instagram and TikTok, consuming tons of video and listening to things. They've just got very specific questions, and they just want to get them answered pretty quick. So we see a higher percentage of men interacting with chatbots on clinic websites. We see when we've done focus groups and research amongst patients, we see that ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, things like that are a huge channel for men, because it's like private. They don't have to, announce themselves or show that they're following a med spa or joining a Facebook group or whatever. It's a private thing. And they can say, I've got these 10 questions about these procedures or these devices. Go and do some deep research for me. Tell me the answers. Find me 3 practices that offer this. It's very efficient, as you would sort of expect. So I think, what can you learn from that as a practice owner if you're targeting the typical male demographic? Is you're going to have a much more diverse marketing mix. So if you've been relying on very soft touch communication through channels like Instagram, you're going to have to introduce new methods of having your content and your practice showing up in these AI channels, because that's where the blokes are at 10 o'clock at night on the couch talking to ChatGPT, having these private conversations, getting their questions answered. And then when it comes to taking the next step, they are probably not going to call in. They might, but the vast majority want to self-serve to some extent. And so they will want to know, they'll want a frictionless experience in terms of getting booked in for that initial appointment. So, and actually this is another big mistake that I see all the time with websites, is sending new patients, and in particular men, into a booking system that is full of options.
Right.
Because that is a nightmare. That's like walking into a huge boutique store when all you wanted was a pair of Levi's. Because you're going to get lost in there. Yes. So if you send any sort of new patient, especially a typical bloke, into a booking system with 60 different procedures, 7 different practitioners, and you're supposed to choose and get yourself booked in, that's a nightmare, and very few will make it out alive. A lot of opportunity will die in that process. So what we've often done is, in that booking journey, we separate new from existing patients. And so existing patients, they know what they're doing, they can use the booking system, and it's great. New patients, keep them well away from that booking system, send them to a page that only serves one function, which is to sell the consultation. So in restaurant marketing, they would say, sell the sizzle, not the steak. Yeah. And this is the same thing. Just sell the consultation. It's the same thing your front of house should do. They shouldn't be getting drawn into huge conversations about treatments. They should just sell how good that consultation is going to be, how it's going to answer all your questions. It's going to reassure you. There's a skin analysis involved, whatever. Then let them being the potential patient of any type, just book, even if they don't want to book a consult, book a 5-minute callback from the practice. Just doing that, especially as we're talking about men, is like the ideal journey for what we've seen as the typical male research process. I'm going to get all my questions answered, and then if I am brave enough to come to the website to take the next step, it had better be super quick and easy. So don't lose them in a giant booking flow and expect them to know which device or how many minutes they need. It's not going to happen.
We should be telling them that. I love it. That's so powerful. Great points, Rick. Great points. Okay, I've got a few quick questions for you. Some of them you've actually already touched on, but just as relates to social media, your opinion, a couple of quick rapid fire questions. Your opinion, is Instagram still king?
it's part of the puzzle. It's not a king. You know, things have moved on a lot since Instagram came out, and really TikTok owns the most relevant form of social media, which is interest-based media. And Instagram Reels tried to replicate that. But really Meta was grounded in social media. The idea that you will be interested what your friends are interested in. So they're not really king because they didn't invent the most relevant form of media. TikTok did. And it's all based on interest. But wider than that, and I always talk about this in all my content, and especially in medical aesthetics, there's like a sick obsession with Instagram. And I see all the time, you guys are terrible for this. You're just following each other.
Yep.
Why are you doing that?
Yep.
Because don't forget, at its base, like I just said, Instagram is based on social media. So if what you're telling the Instagram algorithm, and this is how it works at its core, what you're telling it is the most important relationship for you is other practices and other practitioners. And so you're just going to see each other's content, which means your patients aren't going to see as much of you in their feed. You're not going to see your patients' content. If you were adopting Instagram in the perfect way, in my view, as a med spa owner with your business profile, business or med spa profile, you would not follow any other med spas or practitioners. You would only follow patients and potential patients, and you would engage with their content. You'd like the picture of their cat. You'd say your vacation looks amazing, because that's what it's for. And your engagement and your organic reach would double, triple, quadruple. I can guarantee you that. So I would be careful about doing that. Also, super stressful and toxic to be living comparatively with thousands of your own competitors. I don't do it. There's only a few key marketing people that I follow because I'm focused on my customers. So I follow and engage with med spa owners and executives from pharma companies on LinkedIn and things like that. For me, LinkedIn's always been my biggest platform. I've got about 30,000 people on LinkedIn that follow me, and I've had a lot of success with it. I didn't even have an Instagram account until 2.5 years ago. Interesting. I wasn't particularly interested in it, and always got success and built a multi-7-figure business without it. So I wasn't missing it. And we've got some clinics and clients in other countries and in other situations who they have huge businesses and they don't even have an Instagram page. Mm-hmm. They actually, one of them, it's my favorite example, that they're in Australia and they get tons of new business by answering questions on Reddit.
Interesting.
Tons and tons of new patients coming to them because they've become like the medical aesthetics expert on Reddit. And so channel is just what tool you get out of your bag to do the job. What's important is your strategy. So like that strategy is, I'm going to answer questions in this closed environment and become the expert. So I don't need any other channels. Whereas the go-to, I don't know how it happened, but the go-to in aesthetics seems to be, I must become famous on Instagram.
Yeah.
And, you know, I shared a quote, I think, in the talk that you were at. It's my favorite quote. Being famous on Instagram is about as useful as being rich in Monopoly.
There we go. I do remember that.
There's no direct correlation between your follower count, your view count, and your profit.
None.
There really isn't. It depends what you do with it. So, you know, there are people in this space that they have a huge following on social media, but the way they monetize it is selling to the rest of you, not necessarily to their patients. So it's an interesting thing. Is it king? I think it's a sick obsession. That's what I think. And I think it needs to be put in its place amongst the whole mosaic of marketing. And it's just one small piece. What it's really good at, and really any form of social media is good at this, is once you have acquired an interested person, into your world, your ecosystem, these social media apps and feeds are good for building trust. And you have to, now this research process can take months from when they first find out about you to when they're sitting in your chair. And so social media comes into its own during that period, because you can stay front of mind, you can really build up the trust with them. And so if you've done that successfully, when those people do eventually walk into your practice, they're not questioning your pricing, they're not questioning your recommendations, they trust you. And that's what it's really good at. And it does take all of these pieces together to build a successful business. But Instagram on its own, if that's your whole marketing plan, is a very high risk strategy. It's very wasteful and inefficient in terms of the effort that it takes to build that audience. And then when you build that audience, only then do you find out that about 6% of it is actually relevant to you, because they're the ones that are likely to walk into your practice one day and get their Amex out, because the rest are in different countries or not interested, etc. They're just there for the dancing or the rants that you might do. So yeah, it's part of the puzzle, but please don't rely on it to build you a multi-7-figure business, because it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. There is no silver bullet. There is no silver bullet. That's great. Very powerful and insightful information. Before we take one more break, Rick, I want to ask, we have to ask about or talk about AI. You've given out some great tidbits and some great jewels around AI. I want to ask a different question, right? We get a lot of insight on things that we should be using AI for, or how we can leverage it and incorporate it into our business and everyday aspects of life. So as relates to marketing tasks, what are some marketing tasks that we should actually never hand over to AI?
I mean, look, I think AI is incredible. I have to say that. With one caveat, my personal belief is that we should have stopped advancing technology in about 1999. I was happy with everything at that point. I think it's only caused problems since then. But as AI is already here, it's too late for that debate. So I think if you're running a business these days, especially this one, AI can be super helpful in lots of different areas of the business. So internally, if there's anything that's, quite monotonous and admin-y, have AI do it. Why wouldn't you? Like, it's not a good use of anybody's time. If there's anything that can be automated that's internal, it should be. On the patient communication side, though, there's a balance to be had. So I think AI can be amazing for servicing brand new inquiries. We're actually, full disclosure, we are actually releasing an AI product in the next couple of months for lead nurture and capture, etc. So I have a bias or a disclosure there to share, but I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't believe in it. And I held off for a long time until it was good enough, because a couple of years ago it was not good enough and it was really bad. But now it's super slick. I've been trying really hard to break it and confuse it, and I have failed. Awesome. So it's very, very good at what we call speed to lead. So there's a crazy statistic on this. If you get back to a new inquiry within 5 minutes, your chance of that person becoming a patient is 21 times higher than it would be if you got back to them any later than 5 minutes.
Wow.
So it's crazy, and it shows how impatient people really are these days.
Yeah.
And if you want to know how impatient you are, just request a 2-factor authentication code.
Oh my
and
God.
check how many times you refresh your inbox waiting for the code. Now you know how impatient your patients are, because they're just like you.
Yeah.
So you have to have this kind of speed to lead, and really the only way to achieve it at scale is with AI. And it can have text conversations, it can call them and speak to them in an accent or tone that you design. So I think that is going to become the front line for a lot of inbound new leads for businesses that are trying to scale. But there's a line to be drawn on the patient communication side, because ultimately these people are trusting you and your team with their face and their skin and their body. Sometimes it's surgical, so it's even more trust required. So I think that should be preserved for humans, because I think it's very unlikely that AI is going to completely be able to replicate the empathy, the understanding, the nuanced communication that happens between two humans. Right. So there's lots of tasks on the marketing side that you can use it for. Outlining your blog content and your web content is fine to use AI, as long as it contains original thought. So you can use AI as a tool to produce this content, but what you input into the AI has to be from you. So I was doing a webinar last night. You may have heard of Dr. Tim Pierce. He's very well known. Is with his organization Profinity. Did a webinar last night, and we spoke about this specifically. And the question came up, it was actually Tim's wife, Miranda Pierce. She asked, Rick, I heard from SEO people that you shouldn't use AI to write your blogs because you'll be penalized for that, and your articles won't rank. Is that true? It's not true. Google themselves have said and published this. Essentially, they don't care what tool you use to create your content. What they care about is that content truly helpful for humans? Or is it a piece of commodity, thin content that is only there trying to game the system? So you can use AI for sure, but what goes into the prompt must be from your own ideas, your own experience. And in fact, there's an analogy for what it needs to include, and it's EAT, E-E-A-T. And it stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. If you can build that into your content and input that into your prompts, then absolutely you can use AI to generate that content. And then when it's done so, then you're going to have to go through and take out the corny emojis and M-dashes and all the rest of it and rewrite the title to something more conversational, because it will be really cheesy.
Alrighty, so really good stuff that you just shared, Rick. Let's do this. We're going to take one more commercial break. Give everyone a chance to refill their glasses, do whatever it is that you may need to do. And then we'll come right back, close it out with our final segment, ask some really fun questions, pick Rick's brain a bit more, and then we'll get everyone out of here. Sound good? See you all in a second. Hey guys, tonight's episode of Brotox Chill is brought to you by XOD. That's Aesthetics on Demand. If you're a med spa owner, plastic surgeon, or wellness provider, and you're looking to grow beyond the four walls of your practice, then you need to check out XOD. Their innovative portable aesthetic devices are helping practices deliver high-performance treatments in the clinic, at events, and even through concierge services. There's no hidden consumable fees, no complicated business model, just technology designed to help you scale smarter and create new revenue opportunities. From skin rejuvenation and RF treatments, all the way down to portable laser hair removal, my friends at XOD are redefining what's possible in aesthetics. Do this. Visit xod.life and you'll learn more. When you do that, tell them you learned all about them, or at least heard about them, right here on Brotox and Chill. Okay, guys, so tonight's been a really fun and informative episode. I personally have learned a ton from Rick. It's been great picking your brain, man. You have definitely lived up to the guru title. You've shared some great information with us. I hope everyone's been taking notes. I know I've been taking tons of mental notes. So thank you for all that you've shared. So now I want to transition and go a little bit of a different direction. Let's have some fun. Okay. So one of the main themes of today's episode has just been around your world travels. As I've said before, you've spoken in 15 different countries. So I'm curious. I always like to ask everyone on the show, what are some of your hotel must-haves? Just some things that you can't compromise, gotta have it in a hotel, just will not book if it's not there.
Do you know what? I'm not a small person. I'm quite broad. And for me, a must-have is a bathrobe that fits me. And because so many times I will go to, and I know that probably surprises you that I go for the bathrobe, but I like to get comfortable.
Of course.
And especially if I've just done a stage talk, I want to go and take off the smart clothes and the tight clothes and the shoes and stuff and get into a bathrobe and some slippers. But 9 times out of 10 in the wardrobe, both the robes are the same size and they're both way too small for me. So I end up sitting on the bed with the bathrobe and it's just going to there. So my wife has to put up with me sitting next to her with my whole midriff exposed all the way down and just the tie up bit in the middle. So big male sized bathrobes is a must have in a hotel for me.
I hear you, man. That's a great one. That's actually an original. I've never heard that one before, never thought about it. But, you know, I've given up on hotel bathrobes simply because they never fit. I know exactly what you're talking about. They usually stop somewhere around my forearm or elbows. And it's just weird. It's just always weird. Like I'm looking at my wife like, am I wearing yours? Are you wearing mine? It's just, yeah. So I gave up on that a few years ago.
It's got to be done. And when you get one that really fits as a guy, it's lovely. It's so comfy and you just feel totally relaxed. You know, that's when I can really decompress, because even though I do all this stuff that's very extroverted, I'm not really naturally extroverted. I'm quite introverted and it takes a lot out of me. And so I have to go. So for example, in Puerto Rico, when I saw you, I do obviously get approached after the talk and there's still kind of a lot of social stuff to do. But basically, as soon as I can, I want to get back to the room and just go and kind of decompress and eat a cheeseburger and watch crap on TV because my battery is depleted. So the hotel rooms are really quite important to me. Actually, they did an amazing favor for us. We had a beautiful room right on the beach at that event. It was really nice. And a lot of the things that I've been to in different countries, have been to some amazing hotels and resorts. And I always feel, I don't take any of that for granted. It always feels amazing because when I was younger, I came from nothing. And I never even left my home country of the UK until I was 19 years old. Like I'd never been anywhere. And my holidays when I was a kid were in these sort of British seaside towns where you ride a donkey and if you're lucky you might get an ice cream and that's it. Holiday's over. Back to school. So now that we do all this stuff and we've been to some of the most amazing places on the planet, I never take it for granted, and I always take a good few minutes to sit on my own and look around and think, wow.
Yeah, a life of gratitude. It is cool. Yeah. It is a cool life to live. It really is. That's awesome, Rick. That is awesome. Okay, so continuing with the travel theme, a couple more questions for you. Give me your top 3 favorite travel destinations. When someone's booking you and it's like, oh, I get to speak here. Yes. What are your top 3 favorite places to travel and speak?
So there's still loads of the US that I haven't seen. Okay. So any opportunity to come to a new place in the US, I'm there.
Okay.
So like I've spoken in your neck of the woods in San Francisco, but it was a long time ago. I've spoken in Miami. I've spoken in Dallas, Texas. I've spoken in Puerto Rico. That's the US, right?
Yep.
I'm speaking in New York, but there's a load of places I've never seen, which I'd like to go. I love Paris, and some of the venues that you go to when you do these talks in Paris, they are stunningly beautiful. And I love where I am now. The UAE, Dubai is like a different planet. It's like you're speaking in a city that's 50 years, 100 years in the future. So I love it here as well. So there's a few. That's kind of on the speaking side, but if you were asking vacation-wise, it might be different.
Yeah, well, let's dig into that. What are some of your favorite vacation destinations?
So I'm going to have to drop a big name here.
Okay.
I can't not mention it because it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. But last June, I was invited onto Necker Island with Sir Richard Branson.
Oh.
And I was there for a week with 50 other business owners. And it was a private retreat. So it was partly business focused, partly partying and entertainment, and then partly fitness and activities. But he owns 2 islands because, as you know, one is never enough.
Never enough.
So he owns Necker Island and one next door called Mosquito. And we visited both. They are about 4 kilometers apart. He swims between the two, 8 kilometers there and back. He's 76 years old. Incredible.
Wow.
But it is one of the most stunning places you could ever even conceive. It takes your breath away, and it's we were actually talking in the break about deeper philosophical things, right?
Yeah.
And it's where I actually started tuning into a different frequency somehow. I learned that from him and the place that he's built on this private island in the British Virgin Islands. So that would be my ultimate destination. Another one is Morocco. So we had our honeymoon there, and it's kind of linked to the Branson story, actually. It's quite serendipitous because we got married after we had kids. So we've actually only been married about 14 years, but we've been together 20 years.
Okay.
But when we had our honeymoon, we went to Morocco, and we went to 3 places in Morocco on a mini tour. And the second place we went is a place called Casbah Tamadot, which is in the Atlas Mountains, and it's owned by Sir Richard Branson. It's part of the Virgin Limited Edition collection of resorts, and it's stunningly beautiful. It's right on the side of the Atlas Mountains, and across from you, the other side of this ravine, you're looking at an ancient village where people still live without electricity, and it's insane. However, when you've stayed there, you get a letter on your bed before you leave from the man himself. And it says, "Thank you so much for staying here. It was my mother that found this place and she persuaded me to buy it," etc. I also sometimes invite people to my island in the Virgin Islands. We'd love to have you there. And now, this was 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. And we did some research at the time, and we looked at the insane cost if you wanted to go and rent Necker Island. And it was something like $150,000 a night, right? And so at the time, we were like, how ridiculous. Rip the letter up, move on. Now, as I just told you, in 2026, or 2025, sorry, we went to Necker Island and we met him and spent hours with him. And the day before we got there, a photo of that letter from him came up in my Facebook memories.
Wow.
And the day that we arrived there, a tweet memory came up in my feed, which was a screenshot that I'd taken, which was a Richard Branson quote saying, like, screw it, let's do it. And it was all of his like famous quotes and stuff. So when we got there, I said to him, I need to show you something. 15 years ago, we got this letter from you saying, come to Necker Island. We thought it was hilarious. Like, how the hell is that ever going to happen? What a laugh. And we threw the letter away. And now we're here with you. And he loved the story. He wanted to print a copy of it from my Facebook, and he put it behind the coffee machine in Necker.
Wow.
Which, by the way, in just the kitchen area in the Great House in Necker, there are letters from Princess Diana, Obama, Elton John, all written to Branson, and they're just like sellotape next to the coffee machine and stuff. It's crazy.
Along with yours.
Necker Island and Morocco would be my top two, closely followed by there's an amazing resort in Grenada called Spice Island, which we absolutely love.
Spice Island. Okay. So you were the person to talk to when it's time to pick an island, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so before we wrap up, Rick, I want to ask you, looking into the future, we're halfway through conference season. I'd love to know just some places where we could expect to see you, if you'll be stateside at all for the rest of 2026. And I want to learn a little bit more about the Rise event that, if I understand correctly, is coming up in October.
Yes. So I am coming to the US a few times for the rest of the year. So I'm going to be in Miami for the Global Aesthetic Conference.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Dallas for Aesthetic Next. I think that'll be my third or even fourth time speaking.
I'll see you there.
Next. See you there, my friend. And in November, I'm going to be an event with Y-Lift in New York. But in October, on the 2nd and 3rd, I've created my own event with Dr. Cheryl Hazib in Houston, Texas, at the Zaza Museum in the Zaza Hotel in the Museum District. 2nd and 3rd of October. And I know everyone says this is not just another conference, so I'm not going to say that, but we are trying so hard to make this different, and we're doing that through the people we're bringing. There are well-known people, but also people that are not known in the US but are huge elsewhere. So our keynote speaker is a dermatologist from Switzerland called Felix Bertram. His practice sees 800 patients a day. He has built a 70 million euro clinic with a few locations in Switzerland. He is amazing. He's also on Shark Tank in Switzerland. He's one of the investors. So he's coming. He's my good friend. He's the reason I made it to Necker Island. He invited me. We've got Kate Goldie from the UK, who's an incredible physician and a leader in regenerative medicine. We have Cheryl herself, who's an incredible speaker, Ultherapy Prime trainer, etc., Radies connoisseur. We've got David Sadat, Alec McCarthy. We've got Christine Trujillo, Audrey Neff, Adam Haroon. Yeah. Lots of names that you will know, and then some that I'm bringing from the UK. So we have Cameron Shibley, who's an incredible business ops guy, who's going to teach people how to transform the operations of their business. Day one is everyone together, and day two, you choose between clinical and business. Okay. And in both cases, day two is really deep dive stuff. Okay. On the clinical side, we're going to have cadaver stuff, which I don't understand, so don't ask me any questions. And I don't want to see it. Sounds gross. Right. Day two for business, which I'm chairing, is deep dive workshops, interactive sessions. There's pre-work and post-work, which you don't often get for conferences. So you've got homework to do before you get there. You're going to take work away. There's going to be support sessions afterwards. It's like nothing else I've been to, and that's the whole point of it. So yeah, riseglobalsummit.com, and there's tickets still available because we're 4 months out. So yeah, grab a seat because it's going to be very, very special.
Awesome. It sounds exciting. So that's going to be in Houston in October. riseglobalsummit.com. You'll see it right there on the screen. And if you're tuning in or listening in, again, that's riseglobalsummit.com. Yeah, I think I'm going to look into attending that. A lot of the names that you mentioned are friends of mine, and the topics that you shared are ones that are of extreme relevance and interest. So don't be surprised to see me pop up there, man. I love it in Texas.
Love to have you there, mate.
Yeah. And Aesthetic Next 8.0, you'll definitely see me there. It'll be my second time attending, first time speaking. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah. And you know what? That's where
your session.
Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. Yeah, for sure. I'll have to find out when yours is, and we'll support each other. And that's when I'll be able to catch you at the bar, and I'll get the rest of these stories that we both alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Well, on that note, Rick, again, another heartfelt thank you. It's been great. This has been super informative. I mean, again, just the information that you shared has been invaluable. So I genuinely appreciate it. I am so glad that I ran into you in Puerto Rico. My wife and I, we go to Puerto Rico every single year. So it was great that MERS had the event there this year. I'm glad, man. I'm glad that I saw you there. I'm glad that you answered your DM. And again, I have a ton of gratitude and appreciation for you sharing this time with me tonight.
Likewise, dude. Thank you so much for the invite, and I really enjoyed this chat, and I'm looking forward to catching up and seeing you again very soon.
Absolutely. Part 2 will be face-to-face in Dallas in a few months.
For sure.
All righty, guys. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I trust and hope that you all got all the value out of this that I did tonight. I look forward to catching you all on the very next episode. See you soon. Good night.